Hey, everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and I have a returning guest in the corner. Would you like to unveil your secret identity that's not so secret?
Hello, this is Pete Ellison from Portland, Oregon, host of Pump It Age Pollo weekly mix show on 91.8 The Fan every Saturday night.
And we're very excited to have that show on the station. The reaction has been really positive, and I
Oh,
think
great.
a lot of the fans really enjoy it. Like I'll see people kind of reflect on it like through the week in the IRC, like maybe they couldn't make it into the IRC to
Yeah.
have you at the time, and then they're like, "Oh, that was cool," and I'm like, "Well, tweet at him, please."
Yeah, let me
Like,
know. Like, say hi. I do see some of that too. I've seen it kind of throughout the week. People are like, "Oh, this song's been stuck in my head since I heard it on Age Pollo Night on Saturday." And I'm like, "That's good. Then I'm doing my job. That makes me happy."
hey, it makes me happy every time you include Girls' Generation, but they're my
I
bias. So.
I try. I know you like Girls Den. I try to put them in there as much as I can.
Hearts, 10,000 hearts. But
hmm
no, we really appreciate, you doing the mix show. And for the fans out there that want to know a little bit more about it, when, you're approaching each week, it seems like you're changing the mood kind of each week to what you feel. Like, do you have a certain approach?
I think it depends on how sad I am and how much coffee I've had when I sit down to actually record it. Um, I try to think about a good mix of current hits, things that are really popular right at this exact moment, stuff that I've tested in the clubs. There's a monthly J-pop K-pop party called JK Pop in Seattle that I'm a pretty frequent guest DJ at. So I play that, and I play at a lot of anime cons. I've tested a lot of these tracks. I know what, would really work if I was playing it on the dance floor. So I try to include that stuff too, and then sort of some things that I think people might not know at all, like just some surprises, some older things from years back, and stuff that I think will still make a really good mix and kind of educate people and show you something new.
Yeah, that's one thing I really like, obviously, since I keep track of all the music on the station. When I hear something I'm not familiar with, I'm like, I can't find any information on these
Yeah.
people. So I always have to ask you when it's time for the show to air. I'm like,
Yeah.
who is this?
Exactly. Yeah, I think part of that is just, I've been DJing since I was a teenager, and just kind of you just sort of keep your ear to the ground in genres and scenes that you like, and you just listen for tracks that other DJs are playing. And I read blogs, and yeah, I find some pretty obscure stuff out there. One of my other buddies who DJs a lot of K-pop and J-pop stuff. He's all about just playing just the hits. He'll play Shiny and Super Junior and Girls' Gen and just kind of focus on stuff that has a really, really big fandom. I think that's important to hit that stuff, but I really like to find those rookie groups that no one's heard of and obscure tracks that, like, I just like the trendy Candy Boy I played a few weeks ago. I mean, that track is just a banger, and it just kills on the dance floor, but they're nobody's ever heard of them. I think that was one of the ones you were asking me about.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that because while we don't do any sort of mixing our very mini raves ourselves, we are often like live broadcasting at conventions. And
Yeah,
I notice, hey, somebody will request something really popular, but if I know a song that flows with it better than the next request, I'll put in that
yeah,
song that flows as an in between. And if it keeps
absolutely.
the energy going, that's all that matters to me, whether
Yeah,
it's well
totally.
known or not.
Yeah, I think it's for me, like, both when I'm putting the show together and when I'm playing a live mix, it's all about kind of, you know, hooking people with stuff they know and then flirting with things that go with it. Things that might sound familiar but aren't. Like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but I don't know. I like to just pull from a bunch of different sources and bring something together that's really exciting and unexpected.
Well, I do want to remind the listeners out there if they haven't seen the show, it's at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Saturday, unless, we post somewhere and
Let's see,
say,
got a call.
hey, yeah,
Yeah.
unless we have a con. And also for the fans, they can, give you some suggestions too via your Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah, please tweet at me. It's Pete has a beard. And if you have ideas or requests for tracks you want to hear in the mix, let me know and I'll try and work them in if I can.
And you're really good at that turnover because I asked for some after school, and I think you worked with their subunit into the
Oh,
next
orange
week.
caramel. That's
Yeah.
so good. That single's so good. Have you seen the video yet?
Oh, I've seen the video. It's
Oh, it's so
hilarious.
good.
I
It's so
still
good.
like Lipstick's video a little bit better because it's a ping pong tournament with a
Ping
girl, like an
pong.
evil girl in a wedding dress. It's
Yes.
insane.
I love their videos are so good. I really like the color palettes that they're using in it. So pastel, orange and turquoise and pink and just the visuals are great. It's super clean. The songs are really catchy. They're just killing it right now.
I think my only miss with them was the Shanghai one. That one was like
Mm,
kind of iffy on
it
personally.
was okay. And I didn't really care for the album, I gotta be honest. It was kind of compiled a lot of those early singles. There was a lot of ballads, and I don't really think that that's Orange Caramel's strength. Orange Caramel is who we're talking about, everybody, just in case.
Yeah.
It just was like, oh yeah, we just started talking about an after school subunit and didn't really. If you don't know K-pop, After School is a K-pop girl group, and three of the members have a subunit called Orange Caramel, and it's a little more dancey, a little more aegyo, cutesy, high energy. It's a lot of fun.
And for the Japanese otaku, it's moe desu.
It is
Yo.
moi moi. Yeah, it's. I think I don't even know if I can think of like a J-pop equivalent of them. I mean, they're
Not that's necessarily as wacky as them. I can't
not
think
as
of anything
wacky.
as
No,
wacky. I
you
mean,
have.
I can think of like Kairi Pamu Pamu in kind of the same
Yeah,
vein, but
yeah,
she's not a group. So,
right. I know there just isn't anything. Yeah, Orange Caramel, Catalina is the new single. The video is amazing. I'm obsessed with it. I'll tweet it after the show.
well, for the listeners out there, I do know that you go to a lot of events and you have a lot of shows, and you actually have one coming up where I believe you won't be doing Yoyo Night, but instead you'll be performing live at the show. Would you like to tell us about that?
I will be doing Age Pollo Night live at MTAC in Nashville, or well, Murfreesboro technically this year. Not this coming weekend, but the 18th.
The 18th to the 20th. Dun, dun, dun.
Correct.
So I'm sure you're very excited for the show. This is your second year, I believe.
Yes, my second year. It was a blast last year. I hadn't been to that part of the country before, and I really didn't know what to expect. And last year I was brought out by it was Para 2 Maho, who were a Para Para dance crew. They were the ones who kind of championed me coming out there. And it was a blast. I just had a great time. Everybody took really good care of us, and the audience was fantastic. It was also one of the largest parties I've ever played, ever. I mean, it was there were thousands of people in the rave. It was insane.
Well,
I don't have the exact number, but it was crazy.
I have to ask just from a similar situation, sort of. So when you go to a new area, are you a little bit apprehensive because you're not exactly sure what that area is into?
Musically or just kind of in general? I mean,
Musically.
musically. Um, no, I mean, I feel pretty confident. I mean, about that I can throw a good party. I don't really plan anything, so that way I keep my DJ stuff really flexible, and I just kind of figure it out on the fly. I used to plan my sets out when was much younger, 8, 10 years ago. I used to plan everything out meticulously. I would practice an hour-long set, and I would sit and figure it out, and just practice it and know that hour like the back of my hand, and then just show up and do it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I have a lot of friends who still do that, but I noticed that it was not as fun for me as when I just said, I'm just gonna do whatever I want. I'm just gonna do it on the fly, because I was getting so stressed out following that hour plan, like sticking to the plan, the mix that I had planned out, that the hour just flew by. I just didn't even notice that I was on stage, and that wasn't any fun for me. And if something goes wrong and the crowd's not into one thing, you need to be able to jump back into something else and kind of change the direction of it. So I feel really confident that I could play an awesome set for pretty much any crowd. I am apprehensive just on not musically, but just on a general level, like kind of when I go to a new place, because I don't really know what the people are going to be like, and um, I don't know if you. What did you call me on Twitter a minute ago? A rave wizard? Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
I
Yeah. Well, I
well,
mean,
you know, it's a meme, so I figured it would,
is it?
yeah, for people to become a wizard on the internet.
Oh, I
So
didn't know that. Am I a rave wizard? I guess I have the beard, so I mean,
that's what
I
I was thinking. I thought the
yeah.
joke went well together.
No, it's good. Yeah, I'm gonna adopt that. I think it's good. Yeah, I mean, so I noticed, I've played a lot of cons all across the U.S. and some in Canada, and but I'm from Portland, Oregon, and we are a beardy people. Um, we have beards, and like most of my friends have beards. Well, the guy friends have beards. Yeah, and then I go travel to other places in the country, and I'm like, oh, well, everyone is so clean shaven, it's freaking me out. And people will just come up to me and they'll be like, "Whoa, dude, your beard's awesome. Can I touch it?" It's like become a joke at this point. People asking if they can touch my beard, like. Phoenix, people don't have beards. Nashville, I didn't see any beards. Like Toronto, even like there's like no beards anywhere I go, and it's so novel that I show up and I have this great big beard, and people, I don't know. I commented once. Have you ever seen the movie Logan's Run? It's like a really bad
Oh
sci-fi
yeah,
movie.
I have
Okay,
actually seen it.
so when they leave the domed city and then they're walking forever, and then they meet that old guy, and he's got a beard, and they're like but they've never seen anybody that old before because in the dome they kill you when you turn 30
Yeah.
and they see him. That's what I feel like. I'm that old man. Like no one's ever like seen a person with a beard before, and they're like, "Whoa, can I touch it? Is it? How do you do that?" I don't know.
It's funny actually because one of our DJs that does a lot of our rave stuff for us, he has a beard and he lives in San Fran.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah, 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 yeah.
it just seems like a stereotype now. Like
It's
all
totally a
DJs
stereotype.
that do
Yes,
raves have to have a beard.
if you're on the West Coast, you're gonna have a beard. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, to go back to your question, I think I I'm always kind of surprised by what the other DJs are playing when I go play a show because usually, like all headline and then there'll be locals kind of supporting and it's really cool to get to meet a bunch of other DJs and see what they're doing. But yeah, every rave is pretty different because the locals will be different and they'll kind of be bringing sort of a different flavor to it. So I never really know who I'm going up after, so I gotta be kind of prepared for that.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, and the crowd can start with so much different energy. You could get a crowd with absolutely no energy, or you can get a crowd that's like super ready to party. They've got their glow in the dark hula hoops and they're just ready to go.
Right. Yeah, and I mean yeah, sometimes the crowd's is warmed up, nice and warmed up when I go, and sometimes like one year, oh boy, this is a story. I played at SakuraCon in Seattle, and there was like this was quite a few years ago actually, but there was a kind of a lineup mix up. We'd kind of figured out the DJ lineup for the night, and I knew when I was going to go on. And about, I feel like I can tell this story. I hope I don't get in trouble for this. About like 20 or 30 minutes before I was supposed to go on, someone, like a staff member, came up to me backstage and said, "Oh, we're going to have to change the lineup and we're going to have to push your set back because one of the sponsors of the convention sent a representative and they would like her to DJ. And so we're going to put her on next and you're going to go after her." And this was the sponsor was a record label that was promoting J-pop in the US. They're not around any longer.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to name exactly who this was, but
Fair enough.
okay. All right, but they're not here anymore. But I don't know who's listening to this, but it's too funny to not tell you. So I was like, "Well, is she a DJ?" And they're like, "No, she's just like their intern from the record label." I'm like, "Oh, good. So I'll be going up after someone with no DJ skills." So she showed up and she was do you know the Polisics?
Yeah, I do. I love them.
They're great. She was wearing an orange Polisics jumpsuit, with their orange jumpsuit that looks
Does
like
she have the
a.
glasses even?
She had the glasses and
Oh
she
my
had the
gosh.
jumpsuit and the P embroidered emblem on her chest. And so she showed up and she is absolutely blazing drunk. I mean,
Oh
just
dear.
just just blazed. She's so drunk. And she got up on stage and she stuck a CD in the CD player that was her entire mix show. I mean, it was her entire set pre-recorded, so she wasn't actually DJing. She just played a CD, and she jumped on the microphone. And there's like screeching, just like J rock. It's not even dance music. And she jumps on the microphone. She's just running around stage like a mad person, and she says, "Are you mother effers ready to hear some mother effing J rock?" And everyone backstage was like, did she just drop the F bomb in front of a bunch of children? And I'm like, yeah, she
Yeah.
totally did. And I saw something happen that I've never seen this happen before. Like everyone in the ballroom sat down on the floor.
Oh my
Like
God.
like half of them sat down on the floor and the other half left. And I mean, this is a room that's got 3,000 people in it, and she cleared it. Like, she was like, "Yeah, you guys excited about this?" Everyone was like, "No, no," and it was terrible. And I think like because she was representing a sponsor, they
They
had to
couldn't, yeah, they
they
couldn't
had.
get her to
Yeah,
leave.
they couldn't get her to leave, but they were like, "No, we gotta pull her. She's just like, I mean, it's awful." I don't even remember what she was playing. It just wasn't danceable, and she was just stuck on the CD and then was running around a stage acting like a crazy person. And so, like a manager, stage manager, somebody comes up to me and he was like, "Be ready to go right now." And I'm like, "Okay, cool, yeah, I'm on standby." So he like went up and told her, he's like, "Sorry, you swore in front of everybody. We're gonna have to pull you." And so like they stopped her music and they sent me out on stage and I walked out there and everyone applauded for me just because I wasn't her.
I feel bad for this lady. Like she made so many mistakes.
Oh yeah, I mean, like it didn't even matter at that point whether my set was any good or not. All I had to do was just not be that woman. I felt a little bad for her because I think she just was an intern for somebody and she was just doing her job, but she shouldn't have been on. Oh man, it was great. I had a great DJ set. I had a great time, but it was just such a weird act to follow. Like it could only go up from there.
Well, I hope you got some of the crowd back. That's all that matters,
Totally
right?
got him back. I totally got him back, and I got a great story out of it. So it was worth it.
I think that's a perfect place to take a break for a little bit. So keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't. Don't worry, our special guest isn't going anywhere. Hey, everybody out there, you're still tuned to 91.8 The Fan, and my special guest is still here despite his run in with a drunk lady one time. I'm
That's every
sorry.
day.
I'm sorry. It's so good. I can't help it.
It's a pretty good story. I'm glad you liked it.
But for the fans out there, I also know that you have some new merchandise to promote on your website that you want them to know about.
Oh, I do. Yeah. If you go to www.heyitspete.com, I have some new T-shirts that I just posted for pre-order. They're with the cute little ghosts on them. There's haunted pancakes and haunted waffles. New T-shirt designs. I'm going to be screen printing these myself, probably right in the 1st of May. And they are limited, so pretty much first come, first serve for the pre-orders. And I'm planning on doing a little video when I screen print them too, and kind of showing everybody what the screen printing process is like. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, very neat. Well, for
Yeah.
the listeners out there, you guys just heard Haunt My Pancakes. So I
Yes,
assume that
the
has to
song,
do with the shirt.
song and the shirt, kind of multimedia endeavor. Yes.
Does that mean we're getting a waffles version in the future?
Probably at some point. Yeah.
At some point. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll look out for it. But, for the listeners out there, I know that you also sell stickers and things like that. Are there any other stuff in your store that you want to promote to them? Because everything's really super cute.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I try my best to just be super kawaii all the time, just 24/7 kawaii rave wizard. Yeah, I have prints that I make. I have some serigraphs or screen prints of original art, and then I have some giclée prints of some sort of fan art pieces I've done of old video game characters and some J-pop stuff too. If you like Carrie Pamu Pamu, I've done a bunch of art inspired by Carrie Pamu Pamu, and those prints are also available on my site. They've been getting a lot of Tumblr love lately, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah, I think you just posted about her on your Tumblr,
I
actually.
kind of post about her on my Tumblr all the time. I'm kind of obsessed. Did I tell you what happened after the Seattle show?
I
I don't remember if I
don't
told
think
you
so.
that.
I know you went to it and you said it was awesome.
Oh, it was so great. Yeah, it was my second time seeing Carrie Pammy Pammy live. I saw her in LA last year, but last year I couldn't see or anything. It was at Club Nokia in LA, and I got stuck way in the back behind a pillar, and I couldn't see. And so yeah, just last month I went and saw her in Seattle for the opening date of her tour, and I the Seattle venue has this peculiar thing where if you go in the bar and order a drink, you get a ticket that lets you into the venue first and be like before the people who are lined up outside. So my friend and I got in really, really early, and we walked up, and there just was nobody in there. And so I went right up to the front row, dead center, and I was just like, "Yeah, sorry, I'm a giant 6 foot beardy white dude blocking the view of all these tiny Japanese girls in the audience. Sorry about it. I'm not moving." So I stood there. I was up front the whole time. Carrie Pammy Pammy had like what looked like bug bites on her ankles. That's how close I was. I mean, like it was. I could see her like skin blemishes. It was crazy. Which she's not supposed to have those. She's a robot. So it was super weird, and she had photographers like in the front row, and they were kind of all up in me and my friends' faces. They just kept going, getting crowd shots, and I'm dead center. And so the very next day on Twitter, three different friends of mine who live in Japan tweeted, "I just saw Pete Ellison on the news," and I'm
Oh
like,
God, because you were right there.
because I'm right there. Yeah. And I was like, my first reaction was like, oh, if people tell you that you're on the news in Japan and don't give you any context, it's kind of terrifying a little bit. But I figured out it was they did a news segment about Carrie's Seattle show kicking off her tour, and they showed crowd footage, and some of it was me and my friend Alex right up front. So that was pretty exciting. I still haven't seen it. I don't know if it's online anywhere, but if you find it, send it to me, and I will give you some Carrie Pammy Pammy prints. I'm serious. I
Oh,
want to
now
see.
the fans have a
You
task.
got a task. No one's been able to find it for me, but if you find a clip of me in the audience at the Carrie Pammy Pammy show, please let me know.
Man, I feel like I gotta start looking after this interview.
I wouldn't even know where to begin searching for that. I don't
Just
know.
I would look off of other people's hard work because there's Kyrie Penny Penny fans
Yeah,
online. I would start like stalking them and
they're
seeing like,
insane.
okay, let me go back.
Maybe I should just post a bounty to Tumblr and just see if anybody can find it. Like,
Or Reddit. Reddit's really good at that.
oh yeah, that's good because it's people who are bored at their day jobs have time to scour the internet for things.
And then their bosses are like, "Why are you looking up some Japanese
Uh-huh.
Lady Gaga?"
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Speaking of Lady Gaga, what do you think about this crayon pop opening for Lady Gaga? What's your take on this?
I don't personally, I don't think it's a good fit. If you want me to be honest,
Yeah,
I
yeah. Curious for your
I
your own.
mean, Crayon Pop is awesome, don't get me wrong, but they're so cute. I just don't think it works. Like,
Right.
maybe if they were opening for Gwen Stefani when she was doing that whole Harajuku
Mm,
thing, that makes more sense to me.
sure.
But like in terms of the opening act for Lady Gaga, I feel like you'd want something almost sexier. You
Like,
know,
who would you pick to open if you were gonna pick out of K-pop to open for Lady Gaga? Who would be like your top couple picks for that?
I think I'm like debating between FX would I think work
Mm,
really well because of
yeah,
they've got that kind of they got that cute but they still got that weird and they got
the
that kind of
edgy,
hardcore kind of thing going on.
and they
That or
have
if you
Amber.
were yeah, Amber's awesome.
She's so great.
I really like Victoria in that group though. It's kind of hard for
I
me to
like them
pick.
all. They're great.
My other pick if they were going more for sexy would be Sister. I think Sister's amazing, but that's just me.
They are good. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I was reading like I just never read the comments on anything, and just for like I slipped the other day, and I was like, oh, I gotta see what people think about this crayon pop thing because I just couldn't believe it when I saw it. And my first initial reaction was, are they opening for her on the West Coast, and can I still get tickets? I don't really want to see Lady Gaga, but I would
Yeah.
totally go see crayon pop. And I didn't realize that it was such a big deal. It's all sold out. I mean, you can't get any tickets anywhere. You'd have to go to a scalper at this point.
I mean, it's good for them, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it is good for the yeah,
if they
but
can get more exposure, it just the fit is weird.
It is weird. I was really, really surprised. I think I don't think it's bad necessarily, but I think I saw a lot of comments online that were like, "Oh, great! Now everyone's gonna think that all K-pop is like crayon pop." When it's not. Crayon pop's very silly and very over the top and moi moi des and very like they're strange in a
I
way
don't
that's
think that's
radically different
a
from the way
bad
that Lady
thing
Gaga's
though,
doing.
because I think that's an opening for other
Right?
K-pop groups to get into the US. I mean, just look at what
Yeah.
Psy did with,
Right. Right.
his
Right.
stuff. His stuff was kind of funny and sort of tongue-in-cheek sort of stuff, but it was weird and people like that. And so that might be why they went the crayon pop route.
Right.
But when you look at like 2NE1 or Girls' Generation, they've been able to do decently in the US with what they've been trying to do, whether it's been in
Yes.
fashion or releasing their singles or being on Dave Letterman or what have
Yeah, I
you.
saw that. That was great.
Like the fact that they can actually do that, it feels like the
Right.
doors are kind of opening more.
I mean, I guess it is a logical jump from Psy to Crayon Pop in a
Hmm.
weird kind of way. They're both silly enough that they're accessible to people. They're interesting to people who don't speak Korean and aren't. I mean, I don't speak Korean, but who aren't already kind of familiar with that lexicon. I could see why they would pick them, but I would rather it be FX. That's actually my top pick. I agree with you. I think they'd be fantastic.
I think a US audience would love FX just because they're
Yes.
such a small group. You've got Amber, and I think
Yeah.
a lot of girls just go nuts over Amber. I
Oh
know
yeah.
more
So
girls who love Amber than guys love
I'm
Amber.
so gay for Amber. It's ridiculous. She's just rad. She's an awesome rapper, and I love her style. And she seems really humble and down to earth. And she's one of my favorite K-pop stars. I love her. She's awesome. I saw my first K-pop concert in October. We went to Vancouver, BC, and I saw it was Rainbow. I wasn't that crazy about it, I gotta be honest. They were
I
kind
like
of felt like a
Rainbow's one song, the one song where they got in trouble for lifting up their shirts and then they couldn't do it ever
I don't know
again.
if I know that one. There
It's
was
it's
one guy.
A.
It's what one?
It's just A.
A?
It's like A
Oh,
A A A or whatever. That's
okay,
all it
yeah,
is.
okay, yeah, I do know. There was one guy right behind us at the concert that knew like all of the fan chants, and he was just screaming them at the top of his lungs while Rainbow was going. He was just like a Rainbow super fan, and he was all by himself. Like he was the only person doing it. It was totally funny. But I was more impressed with VIX, VIXX, kind of newer boy group. They were at the show, and they were fantastic. They were really a lot of fun. And D Unit, who I'm a big fan of, also were at the show. So it was a pretty good concert. I would think VIX would be a great fit for Lady Gaga. They have these really edgy costumes and concepts for the videos.
The interesting thing with VIX that I've been seeing is that they go to a lot of anime conventions, and I'm not seeing any other K-pop
Yeah,
groups go to a lot of them.
interesting.
I
I'll take
think
a
I
look.
think they were the first K-pop group that I saw before like
Uh-huh.
K-PopCon or whatever it was a
Yeah,
big
yeah, yeah,
thing
yeah.
that were going to like anime conventions, and I was like,
Cool.
man, I've had that idea for years.
Yeah.
Curses.
Oh, they're really good. They were great live.
Yeah, I know a friend who got to see them live at one of the conventions they went to. It was like 2 or 3 years ago, so now I can't remember which one it was.
Hmm.
But I'd have to bug them. I believe it was K-Wrath. He's not listening, but I believe it was you.
We'll
Uh,
find.
I'll find him. I'll hunt him down. But in terms of, since this was an interesting talk about music for the listeners, is there anything else you want to tell the listeners about anything you're working on or maybe any trends that you're seeing in the musical world?
Oh boy. I just personally, I kind of have taken the last year off from producing music to sort of focus on my visual art and to DJ and just kind of re-center myself before I sort of jump back into it. But I'm starting to jump back into music production again and just kind of experimenting at the moment. I'm not really sure what's going to come out of it this year, but I will say that I do want to do some anime remix projects again. I've been kind of dabbling with some stuff that I've recorded with Christina V and Annie Rock, who are my friends group from Japan, and a couple other vocalists here and there. I feel pretty confident that I'll make something happen with that before the end of the year. I'm just not exactly sure what it's going to be just yet.
Well, we'll keep watching your
Yeah,
Facebook and your
you'll be the
Twitter.
you'll be the first people to hear about it.
I know. Well, you do have a show on the
I
station, so
do.
it'll be hard to miss.
I do. That's where I'll drop it. I'll debut I'll exclusive debut it on Age Poyo Night. It'll
Oh,
be
that
good.
would be super
Yeah.
exciting. And just so the listeners out there that don't visit our live chat, our IRC, which is irc.risen.net, channel 918 The Fan, you actually come into the IRC chat every time the show is on.
I do. Yeah, I like to chat with everybody and kind of talk about the songs that I'm playing and just kind of what's been going on that week. And talk about the mix a little bit while it's playing. And I also live tweet the track list and kind of answer Twitter questions while I'm on there. So if you're on Twitter, it's Pete has a beard is my Twitter handle, and feel free to shoot requests at me or just say, hey, I'm listening to the show. And yeah, I hope you guys tune in this Saturday. It's gonna be a good mix.
Well, I'm super excited to hear it, and I'm sure everybody else is. And I have to say thank you for joining us today. It's been a lot of fun to catch up and just talk about random music stuff and your
Yeah,
convention adventures.
absolutely. Well, I hope
Our
to see you guys at a
misadventures.
con soon. We'll have to get, well, yeah, misadventures usually. I know it's, yeah. I somebody said to me, a friend said that I'm like the animated convention version of like Stefan from Saturday Night Live. Do you know that character? Like, 'cause all these
That's
strange things
perfect.
will happen, and it's totally normal to me. But I tell it to like normal people, and they're just like, I don't. This life that you live is insane. It's not really that weird. I don't know.
I get that vibe so much. Like I'm on the same wavelength with you because I come home from a trip and my mom is like, "What happened?" And I, explain to her what happened. She's like, "Did you have fun?" Like she doesn't know. She's so disconnected from it. Like, and I'm like, "Yeah, it was a blast."
Yeah,
Okay, good, as long as you're okay. But
yeah.
she
No,
doesn't
I
get
know. That's
it.
every time. It's just like normal. I know. I was out one, and a friend called me, and he was like, "Hey, what's going on?" I'm like, "I'm back at my hotel. There's some girl in a cow outfit is throwing up in my bathroom right now, so I need to check on her." And he was like, "Well, that's more exciting than my entire week. I don't know."
No, I
Totally
understand.
normal.
It's always interesting to tell people some of the stories because well, some of the stories for me that I experience are still really surreal. Anytime anyone is like, "I listen to you every day," or anytime they're
Oh,
like,
that never stops being weird for me. Yeah.
"Yeah, that's one of those things that like, really? I don't bug you?" Like, "Oh my God."
I know. Yeah, I had one at you know, KomoriCon here in Portland's my home convention, and so I have a lot of fans there. And I like last year, this guy came up and he was like, I'm in the Marines, I'm deployed overseas, and I listen to your music a lot when I'm deployed, and it reminds me of home, and it keeps me sane and keeps me happy. And he's like, "Can I give you a hug?" And yeah, and he picked me up off of the ground, which is crazy. And he was dressed like Misty from Pokemon, so like I just cried, I just sobbed. I was like, this is so weird because I'm just in a room working on the studio making stuff, and it's not until I go to a convention and actually get FaceTime with people that I realize, yeah, live human beings actually are paying attention to the stuff I do and are really enjoying it, and that's what it's all about. That makes it all worth it for me.
Yeah, I can understand that a lot, and I'm sure the fans now want to see you at conventions and give you great big old hugs. I'm
I
not
hope
sure
so. Please,
not sure they
please,
could lift you, but
they can try. I don't know. And ask first before you touch the beard. Like I'll let you, but just ask first. I don't like surprises.
that's
So
where all of his secret magic is.
that's where.
But is there anything else you want to tell the listeners out there? Any words of wisdom, dating advice,
Uh,
predictions for the end of the world?
predictions for the end of the world. I don't really have anything. I'm all tapped out at the moment. I think I'm all tapped out of rave wizardry. But if you are going to MTAC, please, I'll have a artist alley table in the dealer's hall. Just come up and say hey. Say hey, if you've heard the show, let me know. Or just say hi, and I hope you'll come check out my DJ set on the rave stage.
Awesome. We're really excited to hear it. And for any of the listeners out there that missed any of this interview, don't fret. You can find it on the website within the next few days. So keep your eyes peeled to 918thefan.com and your ears tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't.